What's up, you guys? It's Aisling and welcome back. I'm doing my misses of 2019. So all the products that failed for me in 2019 and why I don't like them, etc. So I have literally been filming and talking since 11 o'clock. It's now 4 o'clock. So that's 5 hours of my voice going through my brain. So I'm very excited to be filming my last video today. So anyway, without further ado, let's get cracking on this misses video. I have a whole drawer full of products that I did not like and they're beside me, so I'm gonna go through them in no particular order and just kind of take them out as I see fit and discuss why I don't like them. Okay, so I'm nearly certain I haven't talked about any of these products before, but some of them you might have seen in like monthly hits and misses, and you definitely might have seen them in like maybe one video before, but a lot of these you haven't seen at all. So I'm just going to go through them randomly. I'm going to start off with this foundation, which is the Benefit Hello Happy Foundation, and it is in the shade number 6. And I was really disappointed when I received this, because when I got it in Pore initially, I was like, oh my god, I'm so excited about this, like, because I loved the Hello Happy, you know, the one that comes in the square tube. I actually don't even know what the name of that is. Hang on, I have it up here. It is the Hello Happy Soft Blur Foundation that looks like that. So this is the one that comes in a glass bottle, and it's the Flawless Brightening Foundation. So it's supposed to be a little bit more full coverage, a little bit more brightening on the skin, because I think that the other one is a little bit more sheer buildable. However, I didn't like the way this performed on my skin at all. I didn't like the way my skin looked at the end of the day. I just found that it just didn't really do anything for my complexion. It wasn't amazing longevity wise. It definitely didn't keep my oils at bay, and it broke down on me on several different parts of my face and just did not make my skin look nice. Sorry, I keep like fixing my hood. It's like, I think there's like hair gone into my hood. Oh, there we go. That actually feels better. I just didn't really like the way that it looked on my skin. I didn't like the way it made my skin feel. It kind of felt a bit heavy on my skin. It definitely did not last on my skin, stand the test of time at all. It broke down and just didn't look great. So I don't really have much else to say about this foundation other than I didn't like it. I'm sure there's some people out there that have tried it and I'm like, oh my god, that's great, you're crazy, what are you talking about? It's really, really good, but it just did not work for me, sadly. I picked up this mascara because it was a waterproof mascara, and I had such joy with the Catrice waterproof mascara, and I just really, really liked it. So I thought that this might be good. It was from Inglot, so I decided to pick it up. It's the Volume and Waterproof Mascara. No, I don't know what it is about this mascara I don't like. The wand is fine, and the formula looks fine, but it just makes my eyelashes flat, lank, and it did not lift my lashes at all in comparison to the Catrice one, which made my lashes look huge and like coats them all and goes right down to the root. This does not do anything like that, and because it's waterproof, I felt like it almost clung to my lashes at the end of the day and really, really dried them out, and I did not like it at all. So I would definitely give that a hard pass. It's not great, and for the price of it, like, I just expected a little bit more, sadly. I know I've talked about this foundation before, but I needed to we need to relive the whole spectacular catastrophe that was the Hourglass Varnish foundation. I don't know anybody who liked this foundation, and if you can find anybody out there who thinks that this foundation is great, I would really, really like to see that video on how they perform, or how they make this foundation perform and look good on their skin. First of all, the shade selection is it's just a hot mess. Where do I even begin with it? I went into Arnott's after I purchased this because I was like, maybe it was the shade and I'll swatch a couple of other different shades, but no, like, the shade selection is horrendous. I use the, hold on, I'll just get it out here. I use the Hourglass Stick foundation, and I love it, and I'm in the shade beige. It's like one of my favorite foundations ever. Like, I just absolutely love it on my complexion. I love how it applies. I love everything about this stick foundation. I just think it looks great on my skin, and I thought that the foundation, liquid foundation, was going to be exactly the same. However, no. First of all, it was too orange on my skin, or yellow. It just didn't look good, but I'm sure like it would suit somebody, but I just could not find my shade. And then it just did not wear nice on my skin, and I just thought for the price of this foundation that it was going to last and look well on my skin. No, it didn't. It looked awful. It looked horrendous, in fact, and it was expensive. I think I spent about €60 on this, maybe. I dread to even think how much it was. I can't even remember where I purchased it from. I think it was Cult Beauty or something like that. I wish I could return it, but sadly we don't have a return policy like that here in Ireland, which sucks, because I know in the US if you don't like something you can return it. I just couldn't return this, so I'm just stuck with a foundation that I really don't like, that I've tried 100 different ways and still does not work for me. I've literally tried this every which way possible to try and get it to work, and it just won't. I've tried mixing like different foundations with it. I've tried mixing different primers with it. I've tried using less and using more. No. Like a little bit of this does go a long way. I'll just show you the coverage of it. Like it is quite full coverage. So you need like literally half a pump to cover your face. It does a pretty good job of covering, but it's just it breaks down on me and it doesn't look good. Like look at the color of that. It's just never going to match me ever. No matter how tanned I am, that's never ever going to match me. And the other shades in the collection were not dissimilar to it. Like they all seem to have that same kind of like orangey undertone to it, or yellowy undertone that just is not my undertone and doesn't work. But anyway, did not like the foundation, and biggest waste of €60 I think I've ever spent. Go To Beauty, or the beauty line that came out from Bad Baby or whatever her name is. I picked it up just to see what it was like. No. This palette was very affordable. Didn't break the bank. It's supposed to be like the Sweet Peach palette from Too Faced. No, it's not. And the quality of the shadows is so below par. Like they're so poor. I can't even stress how bad the eyeshadows are. I'm aware that maybe she collaborated with them, or maybe this is like her creation. I'm not sure what the story is with this beauty line, to be honest. I just like some of the products are really nice. I did try a couple of products from them that I really liked, but the eyeshadow palette was not one of them. The shadows do look okay swatched there, but I assure you, once you go to blend them out, blending that, they blend away into nothingness. They literally blend off the skin. Like I'm blending that and it'll blend away. They don't blend seamlessly on the skin, they just blend away. So you're left with very little pigmentation, and they don't look good on the eyes. They don't last. And the quality of the shadows is pretty poor. They're quite powdery. It's, you know, not the worst palette I've ever tried in my whole entire life, but definitely not any way, shape or form the best. Whoops. And that's where it's going to stay. I actually think I'm going to give that to one of my younger cousins who's just getting into makeup. Maybe she might be able to use it. An eyeshadow that I really didn't like as well was from Catrice. I know I've mentioned this before. It's in Blue Bouton, and they're only like €3 or €4, these eyeshadows, but they're just not good. And I got the Jeffree Star Blue Bloods palette, which I have here somewhere. And after using that and then comparing it to this, I was like, no. I know this is a much more expensive palette. The palette was €50. There's like 18 shadows in it. Like it breaks down to roughly around the same price per eyeshadow as this one from Catrice. It was just, it's an awful eyeshadow. It's really hard to get it to show up. So that's probably the best swatch I can get from it. I understand blue eyeshadows are very difficult to get to work. This one was just horrendous. I'm just going to swatch one of the ones from Jeffree Star. Again, I know I'm comparing high-end to something that's really affordable, but if I mean the eyeshadow is the same price per eyeshadow, you would want them to perform. So that's Jeffree Star, and that's the Catrice one. It's just not great, and I've held on to it for so long because I knew I was going to be doing a year-end misses. It's just not a good eyeshadow. I know I featured it in a monthly miss as well. I just don't think those Catrice single eyeshadows work at all very well. Like the palettes work great because you get like maybe like 9 eyeshadows in it for maybe €7, whereas these are like €3.50 each or €4. So it just, mathematically, it makes no sense. And then also the pigmentation in them, this is a hard pass for me. So Makeup Revolution came out with this whole matte range back in February. I tried it out around that time whenever it came out. And one of the products that came out in it was the matte base Pore Blurring Full Coverage Foundation. This foundation is horrendous. Again, I needed to use a huge amount of foundation in order for it to give any coverage to my skin. And just the amount and the quantity of foundation that I was using on my skin, it just felt heavy and cakey on my skin, but didn't perform well on my skin whatsoever. So it didn't make my skin look good or fresh or radiant or anything like that. And in fact, it just made my skin look quite cakey. And for the amount of product, like I said, I used, you wouldn't get many faces out of this. I used it twice and I think there's like half the tube left. It just was a strange product. Oops. And I just didn't like the consistency of it. I wasn't crazy about the shade. I got the wrong shade, I think. Like, it's quite orange. Even though I got the shade 10.5, which I've used in a couple of their foundations before. But the shade just wasn't great on my skin either. So yeah, it's not a great foundation. I know it's super affordable, but there are better foundations for the same price. It didn't perform well on my skin. I just didn't really like it. Try as I might to like this concealer, I just didn't. It was the Conceal and Hydrate concealer. I got the shade C7, same as the Conceal and Define concealer, which I absolutely loved. Loved it so much that when I tried this first, I was like, oh, it's actually a really good concealer. And the more I used it, I was like, oh my god, my under eye area looks really, really, really crappy. Kind of reminds me of the L'Oreal Infallible concealer, the one that I just did not like either. It reminded me of the same, like the way it performed. And I just thought with the Hydrate in it, it would make my under eye area look really hydrated. I compared them side by side, and even you guys said the same thing. You were like, that Conceal and Hydrate concealer does not look good in your under eye area. It just made them look crappy, kind of sunk into like under eye wrinkles and fine lines, and it just did not look good at all. The Conceal and Define is a much better concealer. This is in a larger tube. I think it comes in a 13-gram tube, yeah. And you can get the Conceal and Define in a larger tube as well, which I'd highly recommend, because if you're going to spend your money on one of these concealers, definitely get the other one, because this one's just not that great. Just on me anyway. I tried a lot of mascaras this year, loads. Some that I loved, some that I hated, some that were alright, not worth really talking about. But this is one that I really did not like at all. It's from Catrice and it's from their Glam and Doll range, which I do like their Glam and Doll in the kind of purple tube, which I talked about in my yearly favourites. Really, really like that. But this one's not great. It's the Boost Lash Growth Volume Mascara. It comes in kind of this like gunmetal grey tube. The wand of it, or the spoolie, or the, what the hell is this called? The brush. It makes it look quite promising because it's so small and it has very, very short bristles, but this does nothing for my lashes. Absolutely nothing. It barely lifts them, it barely coats them, it barely does anything. I would pick up the other Glam and Doll mascara, or the Calista, whatever it's called, Iconista one, quicker than this one. It's just not great for the price. Like, I know it's super affordable, but I just really didn't like the way it made my lashes look. It just didn't do anything for them, sadly. So this is definitely a pass product, not one that I would even reach for. It's not terrible, but it's just not something that I, you know, it's not the way I want my lashes to look when I use a mascara like this. I want them to look full and fluffy and just more voluminous. Even though this says Boost Volume Mascara, it definitely didn't boost anything. So I tried this Catrice Golden Dust Highlighter Drops because I did mention in some of my previous videos I was going for more of natural skin this year, or in 2019. I really liked that kind of more natural glowy kind of look to my skin, and not like more fresh, awake kind of skin. So I thought that this Golden Dust Highlighter Drops might be great to like add in with either foundation, or use just to highlight my skin, or to mix in with like a moisturizer. But to be honest, this was a really like weird product. It was super thick, very difficult. Like, I can't even get it out now. It's so thick. It came with a dropper. The shade is very off for me, and the product itself didn't perform great. It was kind of a bit blotchy on my skin. Very hard to, like, I'm just struggling to even get this out of the tube because it's so thick. And we have a little bit here, but didn't spread nice, and I'm not really crazy about the colour, and it didn't show up that well on my skin. Wasn't what I wanted, and I'm just not crazy about this as a highlighter. And it actually looks quite nice there, like it looks really bright and beaming, but it just did not look like that over my foundation or under my foundation or anything. It looked a bit like thick and too golden almost. I don't know, it's just the colour of it I'm not mad about. It just didn't look good on my skin anyway. Maybe if you deeper skin, this might look really, really nice on you. I also did find with this, when I applied it to the tops of my cheekbones, it kind of sunk into like my pores, and it kind of emphasized them. It just didn't look great on my skin. I would not recommend at all. Another foundation I want to talk about is the matte foundation from Penneys. I really like Penneys foundations. I've tried at least 2 or 3 of them that I completely and utterly love, and they're the holy grail foundations for me. It's not only that I love them, I like obsessed with them and wear them constantly. And I thought that this might be just as good because it's a matte foundation and it had a natural medium coverage. That's kind of what grabbed me. I was like, ooh, it's natural, and again, I wanted that more natural, fresh looking skin. But this just looks awful on my skin. It looks really dull and lacked any kind of anything on my skin, really, to be honest. Just made my skin look flat and no dimension whatsoever. It didn't make my skin look awake and fresh and what I was expecting from it. Probably expecting way too much from a foundation, but I've tried other Penneys foundations that have performed way better. I didn't like the consistency of it because it was quite thick as well. It did kind of like look a bit thick on my skin, and it broke down and wore off super quick on my skin. So I would not really recommend that for a long wearing foundation personally. And if you're looking for something fresh, not really into it either. And if you're looking for something more full coverage, it's not going to give it to you. I really didn't like the coverage of this at all. I've tried Penny's liquid lipsticks loads of times before, and I thought that this one would be really, really good. It was a matte liquid lipstick, and I don't know what shade it was in. I got it in a lip kit, but oh my god, I feel like it's gone off or something. Oh no, did I get some of my jammies? I don't know. Oh, it smells like plastic. Oh god, that is 1,000,000% gone off. Like, I put that on my lips earlier in the year as well. Ooh. And that's the colour of it. Like, the colour is quite nice, but the smell of this is like toxic. I'm not being dramatic when I say that the smell of that is toxic. It's super potent plastic gone off scent. Yeah, it looked horrible on my lips as well. It was really, really drying. I do not like this liquid lipstick formula from Penny's. I've tried other ones that were nice from Penny's. They come in like in a round tube. Nicer. These square ones, not great. However, I did get the set of 5 that came in like a square tube, and they were like really small little ones, and they look lovely. I don't know, but this one, plasticky scent, whoa, awful, worst thing ever. Burn out with fire. Next, I want to talk about a concealer. I picked this up from Catrice because I thought it would be really good, because I actually love their drop foundation, the HD one. This is the 1 Drop Coverage Weightless Concealer. This was not good. It was very streaky underneath my eyes. Now, I might be proven wrong, because I hated the other concealer, the camouflage concealer from Catrice, and now I've gotten back into loving it. I'm obsessed with it, but this does not look nice underneath my eyes, and it just kind of sunk into fine lines. The shade is not right either. It didn't look great underneath my eye at all. It's watery but thick at the same time, so it's kind of like hard to explain. I just didn't like how it looked underneath my eyes. It definitely creeped into like fine lines on me as well, and it didn't give me that much coverage for the thickness that it was. I was expecting more coverage, so then I was applying more, and the more I was applying, the thicker it was getting underneath my eyes, and the more it was creasing. So it was just like a real catch-22 right there. Did not like this concealer at all. And then the second last product is another mascara. This is the one Runway Ready Mascara, again from Penny's. Not great. Don't want to go into it too much because, again, it's Penny's, like, you know, it's a really affordable product. But it had a really weird wand. The wand is really bendy, so I didn't have that much control over my lashes and using this product, and the brush was just really random, and I couldn't get down to my roots. It didn't do anything. It kind of left my roots looking a bit like, or my lashes looking a bit lank and straight, and nothing too exceptional. Like, a mascara needs to do an awful lot for me, but I have found several mascaras that do what I need them to do. Because I have short lashes, they do curl, but they're just very, very short. So I need a mascara to actually show the lift and the curl and like the fullness of the lash, even though they're short. When a mascara doesn't do it, it's a real fail for me, because I have found so many that do it, and I really didn't like this. And then the last product that I want to talk about is the liquid concealer from Natural Collection. This is the most randomest concealer I've ever tried in my whole entire life. I don't even know how to explain this. I've worked fast with this concealer. I worked slow with this concealer. I tried different ways to blend this out. It kind of ultimately ends up being the same mess every single time. So you apply the concealer, and then you go to blend it out, and you're all happy out there with your blended out concealer, and the next thing, it starts to crease so bad, like so bad. I can't even express how bad the creasing is in it, that it's like literally separated underneath my eye and just like literally creased all down underneath my eye. It looks horrendous. But if you don't work fast with it and get that effect, which is fine, you get this really, really weird drying effect on it. So I put it underneath my eyes, waited a few minutes, and then went to blend it out, and it just blotched everywhere on me. So as I was blending it, it was chunking up and blotching all over the place. So I was left with kind of like an outline of where the concealer was, where it kind of like bunched up on the outer portion of the eye, where it kind of like dried from where I spread it. So I was like, right, I need to work really quickly with this. But then when I worked quickly with it, it did all that separation underneath the eye. It's a really affordable concealer. Like I said, it's from Natural Collection, so they're super affordable. But it's just one of the worst concealers I think I've ever used. Where the Catrice one, it just didn't give me any coverage. At least it spread without causing like like an outline of where the product was, and I feel like I could literally rub this off. It's the weirdest consistency. I don't even know how to explain it. If you've ever tried this concealer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Right guys, that completes my 2019 misses. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you had a fantastic 2019. I know I can't stop saying that, but I just really do. And I hope that if it wasn't good, that 2020 is going to be your year. It is your year. You just keep saying that to yourself. Law of attraction will make it so. It will. You just need to believe it. Anyway, if you've any misses from the year, I would love to hear what they were. If there's any videos that you want to see coming up next week, do let me know now, because I'm going to start filming again tomorrow, which is Friday. So I'm super excited to start filming for you guys for New Year videos. Let me know what you want to see. I'll get at it. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for your support in 2019. I cannot express that enough. I love you, and I will talk to you all in my next video. Mwah! Bye guys.